Hi, welcome to Take It to the House. I'm your host, Michelle Bundy, and I'm out here at Invesco Field. Greg's behind the camera right now. We'll catch up with him in just a minute. You know, that New York game really didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. Unfortunately, the Broncos weren't able to come away with that win, and they dropped to 7-6. I think there were a lot of factors to that game. One of the biggest was the red zone offense. They just weren't able to convert once they got down there, unfortunately. Why don't we take it to Greg for a minute and listen to his thoughts?
This is Greg Rashid with Take It to the House, out here in Invesco Field at Mile High along with Michelle Bundy. Even though she went to New York, I had to look at the game on my 8-inch black and white television at the Platte River. But the thing is, as I told you folks last week, I told you they're going to lose that game. They lost 19-13. They have no enthusiasm. They were 6-2. Your team had a chance to win and dominate the season. Right now they're 7-6, about to be 7-7. But we'll get to that a little later on. Even though the special teams for the Jets were not a factor in this game last Sunday, the fact is that the Jets had the spirit. You saw the quarterback, Chad Pennington, throwing the first down sign down. They were all pumped up. In fact, yesterday at the Jets practice, they had 15 players get in a fight during the practice. That's how much enthusiasm they have, because they believe they're going to win their division in the AFC East. So they're enthusiastic right now, but the Broncos are still, in my opinion, and Michelle she'll probably disagree with this, are very lackadaisical, and they're just taking it like, ho hum, it's just another game. But we're going to get right back to Michelle, and she'll tell you about her opinions of what's going on in the Bronco locker room.
Okay, for you guys who don't know, this is the red zone. Anything from the 20-yard line right here on down to the end zone. And this is where the Broncos have been struggling. They just can't seem to come away with a touchdown, hardly even a field goal, actually. They've missed quite a few. And this is the most important thing for them to do once they get down here, is to convert it, because they work so hard to get to this point.
Michelle mentioned coming so far. It reminds me of an old Smokey Robinson and the Miracle song. We've come so far to end this thing now.
Why don't we start off with Shannon Sharpe and listen to some of his comments as far as he feels what's going on with the team and maybe why they've lost. And you know what? He says that he just doesn't think that they should have lost to these guys the last couple of games. They just really shouldn't have. They're a better team. Let's go down to Shannon.
For whatever reason, we just haven't gotten it done this year. And that's the most frustrating thing. If we're getting beat, 17, 21 points, we're just not good. We're losing, 3-point a game, a play here, a play there. No one can tell me that San Diego, they got a good football team, but San Diego shouldn't have beat us. Indy shouldn't have beat us. We shouldn't have lost this game to the Jets. There's nobody can tell me, yeah, I know we lost, but there's nobody can tell me that we should have lost to those guys, because I know we're a better football team. We're more talented in all phases. Well, right now we're struggling in two major areas that you really have to be good in defensively, and that's third down and that's the red zone. And right now we can't. Our defense is not getting off the football field. And that's what it is. That's what's happening. Teams are not trying to run the football on us, so we're going to stay up there pretty high, but they feel they can throw the football. And it's up to those guys over there to say, look, enough is enough, and we're going to find a way. We're going to stop you. We're going to get off the field, because on first and second down, they're excellent. Third down, they haven't been able to get off the field. And once teams get into the red zone, we're not making them kick field goals. They're getting touchdowns. And so if we get that corrected, we'll be fine. Just as easy we lost them, we can win them. I mean, there have been, you look at the Raiders in the prime example. They win 4, they lose 4, and now they won, 4 or 5 in a row. So obviously we feel we're capable of doing that. We have the talent in this locker room to get that type of job done. But just talking about it's not going to get it done. You have to go out here and meet. You have to practice well to give yourself an opportunity on Sunday to get that job done. But I feel we're right there, and it's going to be nice to be home, get some home cooking, and I'm really looking forward to coming out here and playing a very exciting football game, because each team knows you lose and it's over. I mean, I didn't catch a pass until 2 minutes left in the half, and there were really nothing special. So at no point in time during the game did I ever thought, until after all of a sudden I got the 82-yard and I came back, about 5 or 6 minutes later and got a 28-yarder, that I realized that I had an opportunity to do something special. But up until that point, it was just an average day. You catch 3 passes before the half, and I felt good. I felt I was in a rhythm, but I've done that a lot of times.
Well, we all saw what Shannon Sharpe did last time against Kansas City, set an NFL record as well as his own record and a team record. So we're going to look for Shannon to do that again, to step up and carry this team on to the next game. Why don't we now go down to Shanahan and listen to some of his comments that he had as far as what his thoughts were and why this team's been struggling so far.
Are you asking me if Brian Griese is getting the job done? You just can't beat around the bush. You just kind of say what you mean. Are you blaming the losses on Brian Griese because he's not making those plays in crunch time? I don't think that's fair. You'd always like your quarterback to make as many plays as possible. You compare him to John Elway, who could go out there and scramble and throw the ball 85 yards down the field. You're going to compare him to John? No. Or Steve Young, who's got 4.40 speed? No, you can't relate to that. But Brian has played well, and you're always hoping that he's going to make some plays in crunch time, and sometimes it happens, other times it doesn't. But I don't think you go back and look at the games you lost and you blame it on one guy. I go back to myself and I blame it on myself. Each game I can go back and probably put myself in 10 situations where I said, hey, I wish that I could have that call back. But hey, that's not the way it works. And if everybody does that, then you have a chance to separate yourself at the end of the season. If you're always looking at one guy and saying, hey, that guy should have been the guy to make the play, it's hard to get better as a football team.
Getting a little windy here. Hopefully the wind will subside before this Kansas City game here on Sunday. Before we keep talking about Kansas City, though, I want to discuss what happened in New York. I was out there. I don't believe it was the Jets wanted it more. The Jets did not beat us. The Jets did not beat the Broncos. The Broncos beat themselves. And like I said earlier, one of the big things was the red zone offense. Once they got down there, they just couldn't convert. But I think it's more than that. I think it's like we were saying the past couple of weeks, it was just the attitude. The Broncos, for some reason, felt that they were good enough and that they didn't have to go in and perform like they did. There were several times where they were just little mistakes. And what that shows is just a lack of concentration, a lack of concern, really, for the game, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the holding call, I think one of the biggest plays of that game was a holding call when Shannon Sharpe caught the ball. He was, I would say right about there, and within 10-15 yards of the end zone there in the end of the fourth quarter, and there was a holding call, and it put them back clear, halfway on the other side of the field. They were able to come back down, and they still couldn't convert, but I think that cut down on the momentum. If they would have been able to get the ball right there on the 15-yard line or whatever it was, I think they would have been able to score because they were on a roll. And, Shannon actually had a good game. Shannon did have a good game from coming back from that elbow surgery, as well as Brian Griese. I felt that Brian, granted, he did throw that interception, and there is some controversy on whether Rod was held or it was a face mask or whatever, but I was standing within 10 feet of the play, and I thought it was a pretty clean play myself. I had a better view than probably the refs did, and it was just a mistake. It was a bad throw. It was a bad read, and where the guy did catch it was right down there at the bottom of the ground. So, unfortunately, like Shannon said earlier in the week, they went 59 minutes without a turnover, which is pretty impressive. Unfortunately, when they finally did turn the ball over, it was when time was running out.
Michelle just said that she had a better position than referees. Therefore, Michelle is a referee then. She should be out there doing instant replays and all. Do you believe that? The fact of the matter is, and I will still say this, that the Jets were more ready for this game. They were more excited about this game. And the Broncos, all they're worried about right now is ending the season, not going to the playoffs, but ending the season. That's all they're interested in. I can't believe this. 38-24, I still say it, that the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Priest Holmes, who will bring the church of touchdowns to Invesco Field at Mile High.
I did have a better view, and I'm going to show you where this play took place, okay? Follow me. Let's pretend we are in New York, right? Okay, we're at the Meadowlands. It's freezing cold. You have on your scarves, your hats, your gloves, your coat, and keep walking. Come on, a little bit faster. It's the end of the game, and the Broncos have the ball. They have a chance to go ahead and come away with this win. I am standing right here, not right here, but let me show you, right over here, right in front of that yellow dotted line right there. See, look at that yellow dotted line, and wait, let me see. I believe it was right here where the interception took place. And, you know, the ball was coming. He was wide open. It's like he threw it straight to him. He came down. He caught it down here. He was like this. He caught it, bam, right there. Okay? That was my view. Now walk with me here. I was just, let me count how many steps, okay? I don't want to step on the paint. I was right here. And you can see how close that is. It was directly in front of me, within maybe 15 yards at the very most, 10 yards. And I did. There was not a ref in front of me. The ref was over here. The ref was standing over on this side. There might have been another one over here. I don't know. But I had an unobstructed, right in front of me view. And it was a good, clean play. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. Rod, I'm a fan. I'm a Bronco fan. But sorry, buddy. You just missed on that one. So, this is how close I was. What do you got to say to that, Greg?
Did you have a hat on? Did you have stripes on? Do you have a whistle? If you don't have that, you're not a ref. You're just a fan. You're a reporter when you're at the games, but
Very, what's the word?
objective? Yeah, oh yes, yeah, oh yes. You hear that out there, she's being objective. But the fact is, 38-24, Kansas City will beat your Denver Broncos at their home field, and it'll be their, what, 4th loss in a row at this place? So that will be, well, you'll just see. That's all I'm going to say. Mark my word.
Well, Shanahan made some roster moves over the past week. He let guard Mookie Moore go and assigned a new guy, Kyle Johnson, who is a fullback. Why don't we go down and meet Kyle?
From New Jersey, Woodbridge, New Jersey, where I grew up, played at Syracuse. I've been bouncing around a little bit this year. It's my first year. Got drafted by Carolina, went to New York, been to Detroit, so this is what I hope will be a final stop, and a good stop, a long final stop. But
So you're pretty happy when they come calling?
I was excited, very excited when they came calling. Absolutely.
Your name's Kevin Johnson?
Kyle Johnson.
Oh, Kyle. Okay.
Kevin Johnson went to Syracuse, played for the Browns. Yeah, wide receiver.
Sorry, my
no
bad.
problem.
My bad. And what position do you play?
Fullback.
Fullback. Have you been playing fullback all along, or did you get converted to fullback?
Fullback since college.
Yeah. And, you know, maybe who did you model yourself after as a player growing up?
Well, I just try to be the best player I could be. You know, if you see something good that another player does, you try to incorporate it into your game. But it's not like you can't always get better. So whenever you see somebody make a play or do something fabulous, you want to go out, you want to try to do that same thing.
Right. What do you think about Mike Anderson this year and the fact that he's leading in votes for the Pro Bowl for fullback, making that transition, this being his first year?
He's done an outstanding job. I remember watching him 2 years ago play tailback and really surprised a lot of people who didn't know he was as good as he was. And to see him play fullback this year, the games that I've caught, I think both tailbacks and fullbacks on this team are very talented. So it's really just an honor just to even be here.
Yeah, so you can learn a lot, you think?
Yes, there's something to be learned. Absolutely.
All right, thanks. Obviously, having fullback Mike Anderson to kind of look up to and maybe model his game after. Mike, as you all know, is leading the ballots for the Pro Bowl as fullback this year. So hopefully he'll come away with that, and we'll see him have his first Pro Bowl, which I think is long overdue. Why don't we move on to Kansas City and talk to Keith Burns and see what he thinks, what he feels Kansas City is, in fact, doing differently since we last met up with them. Obviously, they've turned quite around. I would say almost a 360, and now they're a team to beat instead of a team that was a gimme. Let's go down to Keith.
The basics. I mean, whatever we did to get us to 6-2 before the break. I mean, I think that's basically what we got to hold the hat on. Like I say, it's no different than the team that we played, but they are a lot different because of the simple fact we've lost 4 games since we played them, and they've probably won 4 games since we played them. So I think it's a big difference.
What do you think's different about them?
Just being consistent. I would say them being more consistent in what they do. I mean, sure, they've always been a high-flying offense all season, but at the same time, I think the defense has, picked up their level of play, and their special teams have helped them out, in any way that possibly, with their returner scoring 3 touchdowns the last 2 games. Of course, that's always going to give your team a boost, but I think we just got to get back to the basics, going out there and doing what we do best, and that's making plays like we were earlier in the season, and just going out there having fun and remembering that the game is all about fun, just executing our X's and O's out there on Sunday.
What do you think you guys have done differently? You said you guys have both been different.
Well, I would say, well, like I said, we've lost some games since we played them, you know, and I think they've made, like I said, they've won some games, but at the same time, you got to go out there and we have to be more professional than we are because of some of the fact that what we have been doing the last couple of weeks haven't been getting the job done regardless of what it is. But I think now is the time where you start to separate yourself if you're going to try to make the playoffs, and I think now is the time. We don't have any room for error now, and sorry to say, but that's just how it is, and we just got to take it for what it's worth and go out there and try to somehow find a way to win.
Sometimes, as you saw last week when Michelle was talking to Rod Smith, you can ask some questions that can get the athlete or anyone who has a bad day a little irritated. And you're going to see right now Michelle asking Steve Berline, the second-string quarterback, about Brian Griese.
He came back, actually, except for that last pick, with a pretty good game, you know, from his injury.
Well, it's not my job to evaluate how he played, although I can just say this, he played very well. He was very consistent, and whether he's 100% or not, I don't know. I don't think he will be 100% for the rest of the year. The nature of his injury is one that quarterbacks that have had it before, I've had it before, it's going to nag at you for the rest of the year, and you just have to deal with it. This is part of the deal.
Yeah, going into Kansas City, can you pinpoint maybe just one thing that this team might need to stop that defense?
We need to score more than they do. That's the bottom line. Whatever it takes, we need to score more than they do, and I don't think there's any one key to the success of our team this week, and it's going to be a matter of everybody stepping up and playing a little bit better than they do.
Getting it done in the red zone, maybe?
Well, red zone's key, yeah. I mean, it comes down to every game. You know, a couple weeks ago, everybody was talking about third down conversions,
right.
You know, and we scored more points, but we didn't have convert third downs. So now we convert third downs. We didn't get in the red zone. So when you lose, you can always find a different reason as to why you're losing. And the bottom line is we just didn't get it done the last 3 weeks, and hopefully that'll change this Sunday.
Once again, Michelle handled herself like a real all-pro bowler right there. And speaking of all-pro bowlers, former all-pro bowlers, let's go to Chester McLaughlin as he talks about Kansas.
I think Kansas City been scoring points all season. I don't think they've had a slouch.
Against, maybe the defense has caught up with the offense.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully they hadn't. Hopefully one more game they hadn't caught up with them. So, I think we're gonna have to go out there defense and obviously try to slow this team down. Obviously they're a good defense. They're not a team that you'd want to go out there and play your worst game against. You have to have your best game against this team. They have a lot of weapons, and obviously I think the MVP of the league is Priest Holmes. That's my opinion, and I'll probably stick with that until the end of the season. I think he's probably the best player. He's probably playing the best of anybody in the league right now.
How do you defend him? I mean, sometimes you drop back. Do you?
I don't know. We just look at more film, just try to come up with a game plan and try to slow him down. I don't know if you can stop him. It's like how Marshall Faulk was a couple of years ago with the Rams. You can't stop him. You're just going to slow him down and hopefully start not letting them score 49 points. You want to hold them, 17 points, 13 points. And I think if you can do that, you got a chance of winning.
Chester, after the game on Sunday, there seemed to be some concern about morale, but finding out that you guys are still mathematically in it and playoff hopes are still alive, does that help out a little bit?
I don't know. I think guys should have enough pride not to need that. I think we should go out there and want to win every game regardless whether we're going to the playoffs or not. I think you should have enough pride in yourself to go out there and play the game as hard as you can regardless whether the playoffs are involved or not.
As you can see, we're having a lot of fun out here in Invesco Field. Speaking of a lot of fun, the person that's always exciting to talk to or wait for to talk to, Rod Smith. Let's take it down to Rod.
You know what? If you need to be pushed right now, then probably the push you're going to get is probably out the door. I mean, right now we need every guy we got. Everybody has to step up and play at a different level than we've played in the previous 13 weeks, and I really feel we can get it done. We just got to go a week at a time, and yesterday we had a real good practice. I mean, it was actually pretty sharp considering we had just put in the game plan. The guys were flying around, and we know what's at stake. So we just got to go out there and still try to enjoy yourself, but we got to make sure we take care of business.
What was your reaction when Trevor said that this team has more talent than any other? What do you
I don't know. I don't know what Trevor said. I don't watch TV. I don't read the newspaper, so I don't have any idea what comments were said by anybody.
He just said that this team has more talent than any other in the NFL.
I would agree with him. I mean, I think top to bottom, I think we do match up well with anybody, but we're not playing as well as a lot of the other ones. I mean, and maybe that's our problem. We think we do have a great football team, and just thinking about it's not going to get it done. You got to go out there and put it on the field. Sharp has said that many times. We have a good football team, but if we're not playing good, it really doesn't matter. They say all about who's playing well, especially November, December. December's here. We have 3 games left, and the biggest one is this week.
So Mike made it clear that no one's immune from whatever, whether it be criticism or
My thing is, if anybody who thinks they're immune, then they have a problem anyway. You know, in this business, that's the way it is. You're only as good as the last play you made. You know, that's the way I look at it. I go day by day. I don't go year by year or anything like that. You have to impress them today so you can come back tomorrow. And I think when more guys get that attitude and just say, you know what, I got to put it together today to make sure I can come back to do the things that I want to do.
You know, it's funny. I haven't heard anybody point out what happened last year in Kansas City. Our season, the Broncos season, came down to a very, very heartbreaking game against Kansas City. I think it's ironic that yet here we are again next year. The game that makes or breaks our season is Kansas City. I asked Kanoy about it, if he had any thoughts or memories about the fact that, you know, that last game in Kansas City ended their season, and he was surprised. He didn't realize that it did either. And he actually said he didn't play in the game, which myself surprised me. I didn't realize that. That's how far Kanoy's come in only just a few short months. So let's take it down to Kanoy and let's ask him how they plan on containing Priest Holmes. The funny thing is about Priest, and a lot of fans don't realize this, that not only is he a phenomenal running back, but he is only 2 passes shy of matching as many receptions as the rest of the whole receivers have had all year. He has 68. The other receivers combined are at 70. So if you think about that for a minute, that's almost mind-blowing. And you wonder if the defense has to do something different to try to cover somebody like that. Let's take it down to Kanoy.
If I had to have one on my team, I think I'd go with Priest. You know, I mean, he can do it all. Like I said, you know, I think he's leading the league in rushing. You know, and then can catch the ball at the backfield and score a touchdown that way.
You never hear him talking about himself.
Yeah, you know, humble guy. You know, never hear him talking. You never see him, you know, doing all the fancy dances and all that. You know, so I mean, that's a guy that, you know, that I can respect. You know, and I can respect his game. Yeah, you know, he's the man. You know, and like I said, they give him the ball. Handed it to him, they throw it to him, they throw screens to him, you know, anything, you know. So, I mean, he's a guy, you know, got to really concentrate on, you know, because he can easily change the outcome of a game.
All right, why don't we now go down to one of my favorite NFL players, and that's Lionel Dalton. I love this guy because he just has a sense of humor, and he keeps things light, and he makes our job easier. Let's go down to Lionel.
Priest Holmes, I'm just going to look at the tape because, you know, last time we played him, he had a great game against us, and definitely just try not to make the same mistakes I made in the previous game. That's all I can do is try not to make the same mistakes twice.
What did you see?
Well, not us. Personally, I don't look at the whole team. I look at personal mistakes. I can't tell you what my teammates can do. I can only talk for myself.
Right.
And I guess just free up Allen and those guys more, take up more blockers, allow those guys, Allen, more of those guys to roam and make plays. I think we let those guys get to our linebackers when we played the last game a lot more than we usually do, and that was I think that was the reason that his success. And I think if we stick with the defense and play within the scheme, we should do a lot better. We should be a lot more successful against Priest. I think they're very confident offensive line. They're starting to believe in this system that Priest Holmes could get the ball 30 times a game or 22 times a game. And right now they're a confident team, and they believe in Priest, and that's all you really need is offensive line that believes in a running back, and a running back that believes in offensive line. And the sky's the limit. As you can see, Priest is one of the best running backs in the NFL right now.
All right, guys, you see this sign right here. This is going out to all you Broncos out there, and I know you're watching my show because you're always asking me when it's on. What I have here, I feel like Vanna White, on my left is a sign that says World Champions, and we have 1997 as well as 1998 here, and I really would like to see a 2002. We can put it right here in the middle. See, there's a big spot right here, and it's just waiting for that. But in order to do that, you guys are going to have to step up your game. So, you know, there was all the drama about Shanahan calling out some particular players this week, Trevor Pryce, and I even heard a little bit of Lionel Dalton, that he said stuff to Lionel as well. And I'm going to do my own calling out, okay? This is going out to you guys. I work with you all the time. I'm in there day in and day out, and I really don't want you to let me down. I'm sorry, but you need to step up your game. And, you know, not only for me, not only for everybody out here in Denver, but for yourselves. You'd worked so hard for that first half of the year, only to turn around and just have such a disappointment. You can't go out like that. You can't. So step it up. And if I have to start naming names next week, I'm going to.
I don't think they're going to step it up. They're going to continue to step in it. And I'm not going to say what in it is, but they're going to step in it. The Chiefs will win, as I've said before, because I'm the real sports authority. Mark it.
How windy it is out here. Hopefully we don't have this issue come Sunday afternoon. I can see how wind really would affect a field goal. You don't get the full effect until you're down here. But we're about out of time for this week. I'm your host, Michelle Bundy, here at Invesco Field. Make sure you catch us next week, myself and Greg Rashid, on Take It to the House.
Well, I think it might be just the opposite. You know, we've lost some close games, and now, hey, we know we've got to win the last three to have a chance to achieve our goal. And hey, it's crunch time, and we've got to go out there and get it done. Obviously, all our focus is on Kansas City. I think that's common sense right there. But we all know what we got to get done as a team, and we also know that hey, by game time, Kansas City or the Denver Broncos both can control their own destiny before the game's even started. And you know, that's the scenario that we're at. You know, there's a possibility that could happen with 3 games left. And so, hey, you want to take advantage of your opportunities, and hopefully we'll play a little bit better than we have. Well, yeah, we go through all those scenarios. I was just a little disappointed that someone didn't come up with that stat in this room. I got to start working on that stuff. You guys are usually pretty good. You can see I'm begging a little bit, you know, trying to find some things, huh? Sure, I talk to different players that I think aren't producing sometimes, and hey, you got to pick up your game, or you know, that's not the standard that we have, and you know, that's the things that a head coach does. You try to do that within your group to get the most out of them. Yeah, so you call people out.
Do you have key guys who, whether they're producing or not, do you ask them to get a little more vocal to try and let it?
It's not really vocal. It's kind of setting the standard. This is the way we practice. This is the way we perform. Hey, you're not doing it on game day. Why? You know, hey, how competitive are you? You got to practice better. But by talking really doesn't do anything. But can a guy deliver a message to a guy that's not performing? He sure can. And if he keeps on not performing, then he's not with us very long, because we've got, you know, we think we've got a pretty good standard.